Greetings everyone, my name is Vishwas
And I'm Deepan.
and we are team Woraxis.
We are here to present a case study for True Maven Influx 2017, hosted by IIM Indore, Mumbai campus.
So let's get started.
The executive summary. The case study is divided into 4 parts. First, a brief overview of Indian automobile industry and how will it affect our company. Then Porter's 5 forces. It will be a strategic analysis to determine if the company should enter the non-electric vehicle segment or not. Then a SWOT analysis on our company's decision to introduce vehicles into Indian market. Implementation plan. Which strategies will the company adopt to introduce electric vehicles into Indian market? How will they segment? How will they target? And how will they position their vehicles?
Indian automobile industry. We look at the current scenario and how it will affect our company. India has the third largest automobile industry. It means India has a gigantic market for automobiles. It can be leveraged by creating awareness about electric vehicles through strategies. India has 79% share of two-wheeler production that will grow by 8 to 10% in FY18. And Indians are fond of using two-wheelers. It creates a huge market for electric two-wheelers. We received an FDI of more than 17 billion in the past 17 years. It can be an opportunity for the company and it may accelerate infrastructure development in the country. These are the sales for passenger vehicles for the recent years and future prospects. Again, great potential for passenger vehicles. Indian government has a target for selling only electric vehicles by 2030. And these kind of policies compel a company to change its vision and start developing electric vehicles. We have seen a rise in alternative fuels. CNG is supposed to get distribution in more than 250 cities. It can be a threat to electric vehicles until the government's intention to sell only electric vehicles actually becomes a policy.
Here is Porter's 5 forces analysis. The analysis is on the company's decision to enter non-car segment of electric vehicles. Non-car segment includes electric trains, electric buses and electric two-wheelers. Let's talk about suppliers power first. There are very few competitors who actually produces electric trains and electric buses. So if we successfully launch two-wheelers or trains or buses into this segment and excel, so we can acquire the unprecedented market share in this segment. It requires intensive capital investments and the strategy is also very risky as we don't have any background in trains and buses and also don't have any background in electric vehicles. So it is very risky and requires intensive capital as well. Next, threat of rivals. The Chinese companies are far more appealing because they already have their vehicles operational in other countries. They already have their trains. The company like BYS Auto, they have their buses operational in Australia. So they are far more appealing than us. The competitor will be able to sell their vehicles at a cheaper cost because they have already sold their vehicle, they already have the market. So they are very near to achieving their economies of scale and their break-even point. So they will be able to sell vehicles at a cheaper cost than us. Then let's talk about buyer's power. This is from the point of view of government. They are unlikely to give tender to newbies and they are more likely to give tender or continue their tender to Mahindra and Tata because they have already given the pilot testing for 500 vehicles to them, and if they pass that testing successfully, they are likely to continue their tender of 10,000 vehicles. And another thing is it will also take time to develop electric vehicles and government are not likely to wait for us. And another thing is the people are also becoming aware about public transports. So instead of spending money on new electric vehicles, they prefer to commute through public transports. Now let's talk about threat of substitutes. Like electric vehicles are very poor in performance. So we need to develop it and do some research, but there are some sectors in which the performance is at first place, like of police forces and the train which commutes a lot of passengers. The breakdowns are not allowable. They are simply not well. Another thing is lack of infrastructure in remote areas. They don't even use vehicles to commute. So how we are expecting them to buy electric vehicles? So that can be a threat of substitute in transport. Barriers to entry. Now let's talk about barriers to entry. We might have to wait for new tenders, as the current tenders have already passed to Mahindra and Tata. Might have to wait for our tender. After that, we also required higher demand to get back the money which are spent after research and development. We need a huge demand, and we need higher budget for marketing also. The Chinese manufacturers have great advantage in terms of government policies also, and in terms of infrastructure also. And if we conclude the complete strategic analysis, we may conclude that we shouldn't enter the non-car electric vehicle segments. SWOT analysis on the company's decision to produce electric vehicles into Indian markets. Let's talk about internal factors first. Weaknesses. It requires a lot of capital and time. Like, we don't have any background, so it requires a lot of capital for research and development, and also it requires a lot of time. Majority of population in India is middle class, so they will go for a cheaper alternative. They will go for electric two-wheelers. Issue of weight and performance of batteries. It is making electric vehicles inefficient compared to the other conventional vehicles. Strengths. As we already have 41.1% market share, we have very strong brand image and loyal brand customers. So we can leverage that in introducing electric vehicles into the market. Low maintenance and operations cost. Electric vehicles are very efficient in terms of cost, so it is one of our strengths. Benefits from previous research of companies. A lot of other companies have already done research, so we can take their concepts and implement into our own development and research. Now let's talk about external factors. Opportunities. Temperament of government is shifting. Like, government has already come up with their intentions to go all electric by 2030. Commitment to go all electric for government use vehicles. They have already come up with tenders for 10,000 vehicles and already tested 500 vehicles with Tata and Mahindra. So that can be our opportunity. Increase in concern for environment. People are becoming more aware about the environment, so that can be our opportunity for our business. Entire industry is shifting towards electrification, so other players also play part in developing infrastructures like charging hubs and everything for electric vehicles. Threats. Other leading companies are also developing vehicles, so it can be a threat to our business. Charging facilities in remote areas. We don't have facilities in urban areas also, so remote areas is very far-fetched idea. So we have to let go our market share into remote areas. Improvement in awareness about public transport. People are becoming more aware about commuting through public transport rather than investing in electric vehicles. Competitors are developing advanced technologies like autopilot that Tesla is coming up with, so that can be a threat to our company.
About the implementation plan. This is the strategy that the company would use to introduce electric vehicles in the country. We will majorly be focusing on the hatchback section and the sedan sections. Most of the Indian population drive a hatchback. To target the middle class and retain the #1 position in the hatchbacks, we need to aggressively market in this segment. We would also be focusing on producing sedans in the cheaper sedan segment. Tesla has already produced sedan that is not affordable to majority of the Indian population. So keeping a lower pricing strategy would boost our sales. Pricing for the hatchbacks would remain at 5 to 10 lakhs, and for the sedans it will range between 8 to 12 lakhs. This would create an affordable to all plan that is relatable for all the middle class in the urban and the metro areas, and would provide the new technology at minimal costs. A brief timeline for the next decade has been shown here. This is purely based on our assumptions. In the first couple of years, we focus on research and development and introduce concept and commercial vehicles. By 3 to 4 years, we focus on growing our sales and making efficient use of government policies to build a positive brand image. By 5 to 6 years, we try to capture significant market share as we have a wide target market that holds middle class people who will prefer buying from us due to brand loyalty. By 7 to 8 years, our goal would be total domination by retaining the existing market and extending growth to the other market sections too. If our plan work out as projected, we can expand globally to other countries in the next decade by following the existing strategy model. Thank you for listening patiently.
Signing off, Team Woraxis.